Hello everybody, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation for the Dwarven Vault. Or is that from the Dwarven Vault? One of the two. Any case, today we're here to do a monster review, and the monster we're going to be talking about today is the Type 5 Demon. And that's as brought to us from the original monster manual for use with Dungeons & Dragons, most specifically developed and released around the same time as first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rules. So typically they're referred to as 1E monsters. Now, we've already talked a little bit about demons, but this is another demon that, though while they are not a demon lord or prince or something like that, they are still a very, very powerful creature. The Type 5 is a 7+7 hit dice creature. They stand about 8 feet tall, so taller than a man, but standing is kind of a real good description. I'm not really sure. And that's because they have the body of a snake below the torso. The torso is that of a woman with 6 arms. Each of those 6 arms can attack, and each of those 6 arms typically hold either a large sword or a battle axe. Now, like all demons, this is a chaotic evil creature. And no, definitely not a lightweight. It has 80% resistance to magic. Can only be struck by +1 weapons or better. Not so easy to hit. Though 7+7 hit dice is not exactly the end of the world. This is going to be less than 65 hit points. And really that should be doable. However, the magic resistance, the extremely low -7/-5 armor class, and that has to do with the difference between the torso and the snake body. These are not easy to hit. And of course, as a 7 hit dice creature, or a 7+ hit dice creature, it can do a fair job of hitting other creatures. Now, their physical attacks are something that, like I said, they got 6 arms. Each one of those can attack by weapon type. Otherwise, they do 1 to 6 damage. But if it's by weapon type, say a double-bitted axe or a longsword or something like that, it's going to be higher. Of course, depending on how evil your DM is, and remember they put these in, they could also have some pretty interesting weapons that make up the weapons that they're carrying, which, if you're successful, could end up being fine prizes for the bold adventurers, right? Now, this is a very, very evil creature, of course, chaotic evil, Type 5. That means there's a lot of other demons that are scared spitless of this thing, and that's because of the fact that it is so evil and malicious. You know, it says in the book that other demons are terrified of these. Now, the Type 5 demons are named. They don't make reference in here as to how many there actually are, but it is considered to be a low number. I've seen it as 12, 24, something like that. There's not a ton of them out there. And they all have an individual name. That's really kind of up to your DM how you want to play that. I've seen that expanded upon in some other books and so forth that have been written related to this. But at the time it came out, this is all there was. And they had Meriliith and said, etc. Okay, fine. You make up the etceteras. You have a lot of freedom with these. That's an awful lot of fun. Now, of course, they have all these physical attacks, and one that I've left out here is the ability of the snake body. It can entwine itself around a opponent and constrict them for additional damage, and also, of course, help immobilize them so they continue to, beat the snot out of you. Now, like the many shared attributes that demons have, this one, of course, can cause darkness. It only does it in a 5-foot radius. And, of course, it can at least a 50% chance which is pretty high, of being able to gate in other types of demons. And that's anything from lower level demons like, type 2, type 3, this type of stuff, all the way up to potentially, very small chance, but still a chance, of being able to gate in a demon lord. Any additional demons, if you're already fighting one, is not going to be a happy thing for you if you are their opponent. So, nice little feature there. And of course, on top of that, they have the ability to do a number of magical things. I believe they can cast like an unholy word. And of course, they can do other things that go along with that as well. And of course, all of those can be used at will. And that includes things like levitate and teleport and project image and poly-self. Yeah, I believe it's poly-self. It's a long list, but not a terribly long list. But it's terribly effective when you can do it whenever the heck you want. So that's dangerous. And you got to be aware of how dangerous they are on that side. Now, of course, they are a demon, so it's not like you expected it to be a cream puff. But these are very serious, nasty, high-level demons. And they can appear in groups of anywhere up to 6 at a time if you're doing wanderings. Nasty stuff. Super smart, evil, big, intimidating, lots of attacks, lots of magic. High-level demons are no walk in the park. Now, of course, do us dwarves get involved with something like this? Not if I have anything to say about it. No, we stay the hell away from it. No pun intended. We're not big fans of interacting with any of the creatures from the netherworld, whether they're demons or devils or whatever, so we stay the heck away from that. I talked to some of my fellow dwarves and asked them about it, and they said, oh, hell no. Big nope for me. Stay the heck away from that. And none of them had any interactions with high-level demons, much less something as powerful as this. Of course, in the gaming world, it's a little bit different. And as a DM myself and as a player, I have had interactions with these before. They have been involved a fair amount of futile battle and a fair amount of running and screaming. Hey, what can I say? But I talked to the DMs and the players out there in terms of, in the greater Hornhelm community, guys, what do you think of the Type 5 demon? Now, of course, the DMs were like, well, a lot of fun as long as your party's up for it. They said they were a good encounter for them as long as they were well suited in terms of the ability of the demons versus the ability of the party to make it an interesting encounter. If it was a encounter of these demons and a weaker party, it didn't end well for the weaker party, shall we say. But remember, these are demons. They can only be summoned to the prime material plane. And if you have the demon amulet that belongs to that specific demon, you have power over it. Well, at least for a day. No demon is impossible to deal with if you have the right tools, and that can be a combination of player character abilities and items. But they can be dealt with. However, in talking to the DMs, they said, well, in ranking this one, we'd probably rank it like a 6.5. And from talking to everybody out there, based on the range they gave me, the average really does work out to be about 6.5. Some ranked it slightly higher, some ranked it slightly lower. Well, what about the players, though? What did they think of it? Well, those that had run into them, unsurprisingly, the results varied depending on whether they were a strong character or a weaker, lower level character. As a strong character, They said it could be a real challenging fight, but it's one where they felt they had the ability, and had in the past, at least in some cases, come out successful. Weaker party members, ones who had lower levels that ran into creatures like this, it was more about how they escaped them. And if they were successful, they said, yeah, it was too much for us. So I said, well, that's all great, but how do you rank them? They came back and pretty solid as a 7, based on averages. So a little bit higher than the DMs. But I guess if you're on the receiving end of it, well, you're going to come away with a different point of view. Makes sense to me. And few things do in this world. So, really, not the world's most difficult demon, but a very strong and very challenging one. And if they are in association with other demons, whether they're serving a higher level demon lord of some kind, or whether they are in turn leading a bunch of lesser demons, it's going to be a pretty difficult encounter if they're able to have that kind of support. So that, my friends, is the Type 5 demon. We hope you found today's presentation to be interesting, amusing, educational, all that kind of good stuff. If you did, please be so kind as to leave us a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Share with your friends. Leave us a comment. But by all means, come back and see us again real soon. We thank you so very much for your kind support. Take care, everyone. And remember, dwarves rock!